Our big story today remains the aftermath of the Porsche hit-and-run horror in Pune that has shocked and angered the nation. First, the key developments in the story today. The father of the 17-year-old boy involved in a fatal car accident that killed two people has been arrested by the Pune police from Maharashtra's Aurangabad. Vishal Agarwal is a real estate baron and has been booked under Section 75 and 77 of the Juvenile Justice Act pertaining to willful neglect of a child and providing intoxicating substances to a minor. Now, he's not the only one arrested for providing a minor with intoxicating substances, because three executives of two bars, Cozy restaurant owner Prahlad Bhutta and manager Sachin Katkar and Hotel Black manager Sandeep Sangle have also been arrested. Yesterday on this show, we had shown you the CCTV footage from one of these bars, showing that the juvenile was seen on camera consuming alcohol. It appears that this boy wined and dined to the tune of a whopping 48,000 rupees before going ahead and causing that fatal accident. Now, there's a reason why we are fixating so much on the point of whether this boy was drunk or not, because that is the single factor that will decide if this boy faces the consequences of his actions or gets away with a slap on the wrist. If he is guilty for being drunk while driving, he gets convicted under Section 304 of the IPC, which is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. If not, he gets convicted under Section 304A, which is death by negligence. Now, culpable homicide carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. Death by negligence is for just 2 years. Now, remember the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, a legislation that was enacted after the Nirbhaya case had brought out a similar paradox in the legal system. Then this law states that an accused aged 16 to 18 who commits heinous offenses stands to be tried as an adult. Now, heinous offense is defined as a crime that carries the maximum punishment of 7 years or above in jail. So if this boy is charged with drunken driving, he stands to be tried as an adult and could face up to 10 years in jail. If he is charged with just negligent driving, he doesn't even face up to 2 years in jail, but just a few months in a correctional home. The Maharashtra government has realized what is at stake, which is why the Deputy Chief Minister has insisted that the state is pushing ahead with a charge sheet under Section 304. Listen in.
मूल रूप से अगर हम इसको देखें तो पुलिस ने जो एप्लीकेशन मूव की है, उस एप्लीकेशन में बहुत साफ शब्दों में कहा है कि ये लड़का 17 साल 8 महीने का है। ये जो क्राइम है ये हीनियस क्राइम है और निर्भया कांड के बाद जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट में जो चेंजेस आए हैं उसमें 16 साल से ऊपर अगर विधि संघर्षित बालक है लेकिन क्राइम हीनियस है तो उसको एडल्ट करके ट्रीट किया जा सकता है और उसको एडल्ट ट्रीट करना चाहिए। इस प्रकार की एप्लीकेशन मूव की थी और जो रिमांड की एप्लीकेशन दी थी उस एप्लीकेशन पे ये एक बहुत ही आश्चर्यजनक इस प्रकार का आदेश पारित किया कि मात्र 15 दिनों के लिए वो सोशल सर्विस करे, वो ऐसे लिखे, वो डी एडिक्शन करे। और इस घटना में पुलिस ने 304 अप्लाई किया है, 304A ने। ये हीनियस क्राइम के रूप में पुलिस इसको ट्रीट कर रही है। जब जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के ऑर्डर को मैं देखता हूं तो मुझे आश्चर्य होता है कि इतने गंभीर मामले में इस प्रकार की ऑर्डर कैसे दी गई, इसलिए उसको हम लोग कंटेस्ट करेंगे।
While the cops are keen on putting the drunken driving charge now, there are reports emerging that perhaps this was not always the case. At least two family members of Anish Awadhya have come forward to claim that the local cops in the Yerawada Thana tried their hardest to ensure lenient charges being filed against the accused, even delaying the medical test reports to avoid the presence of alcohol in the bloodstreams. A relative also claimed that the police were more interested in understanding the relationship between Anish and Ashwini rather than the case at hand. The case also took a political turn with two politicians from the opposition MVA claiming that the cops rolled out a red carpet for the accused, even feeding them pizza and burgers. Listen in to Sanjay Raut's claim and the response that came in from the Pune Police Commissioner.
पुण्यातल्या जनतेनं आंदोलन केलं पाहिजे पोलीस आयुक्तांच्या समोर जाऊन. काय चाललं हे? दोन तरुण 25 वर्षाचे कपल दाम्पत्य एका मस्तवाल मुलाच्या निष्काळजीपणामुळे, श्रीमंतीच्या माजुरट्यापणामुळे ते कपल मरण पावलं रस्त्यावर तडफडून. आणि पोलीस आयुक्त कोणाला वाचवतायत? हे अजित पवार गटाचे आमदार आहेत, ते तसेच वागणार. माणुसकी शून्य लोक आहेत ते. तुम्ही त्याला पोलीस स्टेशनला पिझ्झा खायला घालताय, बर्गर खायला घालताय, बाजूला 2 मुर्दे पडलेले आहेत, खोटा रिपोर्ट देताय मेडिकल.
पुलिस ने डे 1 से 304 आईपीसी का ऑफेंस रजिस्टर करने का बात हो, या कोर्ट में जो हमने एडल्ट करके ट्रायल करने का बात हो, या फादर और पब्स वालों पे जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट के तहत गुना दाखिल करने की कार्रवाई हो, पुलिस की भूमिका सख्त पहले दिन से शुरुआत से है. मैंने कल ये भी किया था कि मैं ओपन, हमारा चैलेंज है कि कोई भी लीगल एक्सपर्ट का पैनल हमारे सामने आ जाए और इसमें कोई दूसरा मार्ग, जो कि हमने जो भूमिका ली है उससे ज्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट हो सकता था, अगर कोई हमको सुझाए तो मैं उस चर्चा के लिए तैयार हूं. मैं जवाबदारी के साथ कहता हूं कि लीगल प्रावधान में जो भी तरतूद है, उसमें जो भी मोस्ट स्ट्रिंजेंट पॉसिबल जो मार्ग था वो पुलिस ने लिया है.
Now, earlier in the day, I spoke to one of the relatives of one of the victims here, Anish Awadhya. I spoke to Akhilesh Kumar Awadhya. Listen in to that interaction. We are being joined right now by Akhilesh Kumar Awadhya, who is the uncle of Anish. Akhilesh जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. हम समझ सकते हैं इस समय आपके परिवार पर क्या गुजर रही है, एंड हम इस बात के लिए काफ़ी कृतज्ञ है कि आपने हमसे बात करने के लिए समय निकाला है. ये बताइए, उस दिन क्या हुआ था, आपके परिवार को क्या बोला गया था, आपके पास ये कॉल कब आई कि अनीश के साथ ये दुर्घटना हुई है, और उसके बाद क्या घटना हुई है, क्या आप हमारे दर्शकों को विस्तार से बता सकते हैं?
19 तारीख की रात की घटना है. अनीस अपने दोस्तों की बर्थडे पार्टी में जाता है, और वहां बर्थडे पार्टी के बाद बाइक से वो आ रही थी दोस्तों के साथ. ये लगभग 1:30-2 बजे की घटना है, 1:30 बजे. तो विशाल अग्रवाल नामक अभियुक्त है, वो पब में शराब पीने के बाद अपनी पोर्शे गाड़ी से बिना लाइसेंस, बिना रजिस्ट्रेशन की गाड़ी लेके बहुत स्पीड से पीछे से इनको हिट करता है, और अश्विनी कोस्टा और हमारी भतीजी के ऑन द स्पॉट डेथ हो जाती है. उनके दोस्त आते हैं, उसको वहाँ हॉस्पिटल ले जाते हैं. हॉस्पिटल से मेरे जो भाई है, उसको 4:30 बजे के लगभग फोन आता है, ऐसी घटना घटी. यहाँ से इन लोग 5 बजे निकलते और वहां तक पहुंच भी नहीं पाते. जो लड़के की बुआ है वो वहीं पर बॉम्बे में रहती है, उसको फोन लगाया जाता है, उसके जीजा जी वहां से वो पहुंच जाते हैं और पोस्टमार्टम के लिए वहाँ वेट कराया जाता है. और इन लोग वहाँ, जो लड़के के पिताजी हैं, वहाँ पहुंच नहीं पाते और पोस्टमार्टम उस दिन नहीं हो पाता है. रात को उस दिन नहीं हो पाता, दूसरे दिन रात को 9 बजे पोस्टमार्टम होता है. और फिर बॉडी आते आते आज उसकी सुबह बॉडी आ पाई है यहाँ उमरिया बिरसिंह पाली. आज उसकी
अखिलेश जी, ये बताइए, जो लोकल पुलिस था, जो स्थानीय पुलिस था, उनके साथ आपकी क्या वार्तालाप रही है? क्या आपके पास पहला कॉल पुलिस से आया था या पहला कॉल अनीश के दोस्तों से आया था?
देखिए, वहाँ उसके मित्र लोग थे, परिवार का तो कोई नहीं था. परिवार का उसका छोटा भाई था, उसको उसका छोटा भाई जो देवू है,
अच्छा,
देवेश, वहीं रहता है, उसके साथ में उसकी पढ़ाई करवाता है. ये सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर था और वहाँ पाटिल कॉलेज से डिग्री लेने के बाद जॉनसन कंपनी में सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर के रूप में अपनी सेवाएं दे रहा था. 6 दिन पहले ही वो दुबई से आया था, ये कंपनी के काम से गया था, उसको फिर से वहां जाना था कंपनी के काम की वजह से, और उस दरमियान ये घटना घटित हुई. अब जब दोस्त लोग इसको हॉस्पिटल ले जाते हैं वहां इसको रेफ्रिजरेटर, इतनी गर्मी पड़ रही है, बॉडी डिकम्पोज हो रही है, बार बार निवेदन पर भी वहां उसको रेफ्रिजरेटर कोई उपलब्ध नहीं कराया जाता। फिर वहां इसके बाद पुलिस रिपोर्ट करने जाते हैं तो आसानी से उसकी रिपोर्ट नहीं लिखी जाती। बड़े ही दबाव में जब मीडिया का दबाव आया, जब सोशल मीडिया का दबाव आया, तो रिपोर्ट लिखी जाती है। उस रिपोर्ट में ये भी मेंशन नहीं किया जाता कि ये दारू पिया हुआ था और दारू पीने के बाद इतनी रफ्तार से गाड़ी चला रहा था बिना लाइसेंस के। ये एफआईआर में उसको मेंशन नहीं करती, ये पुलिस जानबूझ के उसको बचा ले जाती है, इन बातों को मेंशन नहीं करती, जिसके आधार पर उसको बाद में फायदा भी पहुंचता है और उसको बेल मिलती है। पुलिस ये तो दो जोर से चिल्ला के बताती है कि वो माइनर बालिग नाबालिग है, इस बात का तो बखान कर रही है कि नाबालिग है नाबालिग, बल्कि उसके कृत्यों का बखान नहीं करती है पुलिस कि किस प्रकार से उसने घटना को अंजाम दिया है। इस पर वो अपने आप को मौन रखती है, इसलिए वजह से उसको बेल मिलती है न्यायालय से।
तो अखिलेश जी, क्या आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि पुलिस की ओर से कोई पुलिस के ऊपर कोई दबाव था, कोई प्रेशर था, क्योंकि जो आरोपी है उनका परिवार है वो काफी अच्छे तरीके से कनेक्टेड है समाज में?
जो अभियुक्त है वो विशाल अग्रवाल ब्रह्मा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंफ्रा का मालिक का लड़का है। वो काफी रसूखदार है, उसकी राजनीतिक पहुंच है, काफी पैसे वाले हैं। इसमें तो साधारण सी बात है कि वो अपने प्रभाव का इस्तेमाल कर रहा है और उस प्रभाव के इस्तेमाल से वो बच भी गया। उसको 12 घंटे 14 घंटे यहाँ की इवन घर वाले उसके अनीस को या उसकी लड़की के घर वाले उसके अपने बच्चों को नहीं देख पाए, उसको बेल आउट हो गया। वो अपने बच्चों तक पहुंच नहीं पाए, उसका चेहरा नहीं देख पाए और न्यायालय से उसको बेल मिल जाती है। पुलिस इतनी तत्पर होती है, इतनी तेज गति से कार्रवाई करती है, उसमें पुलिस बेल का विरोध नहीं करती। तो ये तो 100% दिख रहा है कि उसके प्रभाव में काम कर रही है पुलिस।
अखिलेश जी, दो आरोप और आए हैं पुलिस के बर्ताव के बारे में, मैं आपसे ये कॉन्फर्मेशन लेना चाहूंगा। सबसे पहले ये आरोप आया था कि जब आरोपी को पुलिस लाई थी यरवाड़ा थाने में, तब उनको वीआईपी ट्रीटमेंट मिला था। कुछ नेताओं ने यह भी बोला है कि उनको पिज्जा बर्गर दिए जा रहे थे, जबकि अनीश और अश्विनी के परिवार के साथ इग्नोर किया जा रहा था। दूसरा ये भी एलिगेशन आया है कि पुलिस ये जानने में ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड थी कि अनीश और अश्विनी में क्या संबंध है। आप कुछ बताना चाहेंगे इन आरोपों के बारे में?
अभी तो ये बातें धीरे धीरे खुलेंगी। अभी तो हम लोग बॉडी का इंतजार कर रहे थे। आज सुबह तक, रात में 4 बजे बॉडी आएंगे, उसके बाद ये अंत्येष्टि। अब धीरे धीरे बातें के दोस्तों से होंगी, हम उस गम से उभरेंगे।
तो ये जो दूसरा जो आरोप आया था कि पुलिस ये जानने में ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड था कि अनीश और अश्विनी में क्या संबंध थे, और उन्होंने ये काफी इग्नोर किया है कि उस समय जो आरोपी था उसका फैमिली क्या कर रहा था और वो क्यों ऐसे इस हालत में गाड़ी चला रहा था। क्या आप इस पर कुछ एक टिप्पणी देना चाहेंगे, कुछ स्पष्टीकरण करना चाहेंगे कि क्या पुलिस इस एंगल पर ज्यादा फोकस कर रही थी जिससे हरासमेंट भी हो रहा था अनीश के दोस्तों और उसके परिवार वालों को?
जी, पूरी कार्रवाई से लग रहा है पुलिस जो है इस प्रकार के इनपुट जारी कर रही है पब्लिक के बीच में कि वो दोस्त ना हो के और कुछ गलत फहमियां उसमें वो कर रही है। इस प्रकार से दिख रहा है, इनके पुलिस के बयान है पुलिस अधिकारियों, ये गलत है। वो दोस्त हैं, सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर हैं, एक ही कंपनी में काम करते थे और बर्थडे पार्टी में गए थे। इस प्रकार का ऐसा कुछ नहीं था। ये पुलिस नहीं देख रही है कि वो दारू पी के और वो पब में दारू पी रहा था, उसकी वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग उसने हिट कर दिया। पुलिस इस दिशा में विवेचना नहीं कर रही। पुलिस दूसरी तरफ देखने जा रही है, दूसरी तरफ लोकेश का अपना कैमरा घुमाती है। जो नहीं दिखाना वो दिखा रही है, जो कार्रवाई करना है वो कार्रवाई करने से कतरा रही है। पुलिस को जो कार्रवाई करना चाहिए, उसका मेडिकल कराना चाहिए, उसको तुरंत गिरफ्तार करना चाहिए, 304 में उसका वो चार्जशीट में धारा लगाना चाहिए। तो पुलिस यहाँ इस प्रकार का कोई कार्रवाई न करके उल्टा दूसरे प्रकार से एलिगेशन या कुछ भी मान लीजिए समाज में टिकट टिप्पणी करने के लिए उनको पब्लिक को वो कर रही है।
अखिलेश जी, मेरा आखिरी सवाल आपसे है कि उसके बाद जो जुवेनाइल बोर्ड से जो बेल मिली थी और उसके जिन कंडीशंस के ऊपर बेल मिला था कि आपको 300 वर्ड का निबंध लिखना है, आपको ट्रैफिक पुलिस के साथ 15 दिन काम करना है, आपको डॉक्टर के पास काउंसलिंग लेना है, इनको लेकर काफ़ी चर्चा हुआ है पूरे देश में कि ये एक दो लोगों की जान लेने की वजह से ये क्या बेल के प्लीज मिलते हैं, इतने 300 काफ़ी हास्यजनक कंडीशंस मिले हैं बेल के बारे में। आपको आपकी क्या राय है, आपकी परिवार क्या मानती है इसके बारे में?
सरकार को ये भी देखना चाहिए कि हम जो जुवेनाइल बोर्ड में जिन व्यक्तियों की नियुक्ति कर रहे हैं वो कितने काबिल लोग हैं, कितने गंभीर प्रकरणों को किस प्रकार से किस नजरों से देखते हैं। इस बात को सरकार को, महाराष्ट्र सरकार को गौर करना चाहिए। ऐसे नाकाबिल लोगों को बोर्ड में बैठाएंगे तो इस प्रकार के निर्णय आएंगे समाज के बीच, और समाज के बीच में जो कानून की थूथू हो रही, ये कानून गड़बड़ नहीं है। जो उस कानून का पालन करवाने वाले लोग हैं, जो बोर्ड है वहां का विश्व न्यायालय बोर्ड, जो उसमें बैठे थे मेंबर, उनकी सोच पर हमको तरस आता है।
All right. So that was, of course, I had spoken earlier. Of course, thank you so much for speaking to us at this point, Akhilesh Awadhya ji. And हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपके परिवार को न्याय जरूर मिले. Let's now move on to our guests who are joining us at this point on this panel. We have P.K. Jain, former additional DGP of Maharashtra, Parvez Menon, senior partner and lawyer as well of MZM Legal LLP, and also joining me Sandeep Chachra, ED Action at India at this point. Sandeep, I'll come to you first, sir. The last point which we heard Akhilesh ji mention, that the problem is not with the laws, the problem is with the people who are tasked with executing, with upholding and implementing the laws, meaning the police force and the legal setup. They are the ones they are the problem. Do you agree with that statement?
Thank you for having me here. And first of all, my deepest condolences for the boy and the girl and their family members who are bereaved. I was just listening into that interview, so I want to begin there. I want to say that, obviously the law stands and the law has been reformed. And the uncle was right, the boy's uncle was right, that the law needs to be strictly and transparently implemented, which in this case, there seems to be a lot of doubt to it, of how the juvenile board has decided and what kind of punishment has been given out. You know, Ritanshuji, there's a long history of such cases. So this is not a new case where prominent people, rich people, I mean, you see from 1999 what's been happening, get away with this kind of sort of accidents and trampling people over. And there's quick bail and the case is forgotten and the world moves on and the families of the bereaved keep crying for justice. And I think this must stop. This must be put a definite end to. But I also want to take, if there is time, I also want to take a moment to actually raise some fundamental issues with reference to road safety, urban mobility. And I think there are fundamental dimensions which this case again reaffirms, and there's a need for reform there in the trajectory of travel we have with reference to road safety, with reference to urban mobility. In India, Ritanshuji, the number of cases of road accidents are on the rise. Globally, they're coming down, but in our country, they're on the rise. And I think we must note it. And we must also be clear that the most vulnerable are the people who are either pedestrians or cyclists or two-wheelers. In the data that we have, 40% of road accidents from the data of NCRB, I'm speaking, 53 cities, 40% of those who are involved in road accidents and who suffer the road accidents are pedestrians. And this data is actually there, and we need to focus that. The point is, there's a recent WHO report I was looking in preparation for this show, which says that 80% of world's roads, that includes more in our country, are not suitable for pedestrians, are not pedestrian friendly, are not for pedestrian safety. And in that sense, we know who are the more vulnerable road users. We saw this macabre incident yesterday. There have been many before it. In this sense, the WHO report also tells us, I get to some factuals, is that the number of motor vehicles are only going to double by 2030. The kind of pictures you are showing here of the large motorized vehicles, private
Sandeep Chachra, I'm sorry to cut you short at this point, but I get your point, Mr. Chachra, about the larger issues of road safety. But I would like to focus specifically on this case because it's not just an issue of safer roads or safer vehicles or safety for pedestrians. It's about accountability for someone who decides and a system which decides to flout whatever safeguards and rules are in place. Let me quickly go across to PK Jain, former additional DGP of Maharashtra. Sir, the allegations that have been leveled, there are two kinds of allegations which have been leveled today against the local police. One is by politicians which say that they rolled out a red carpet, gave pizzas and burgers. That of course, is not very substantiated at this point. But you just heard one of the family members of one of the accused and said that there was initially an extreme reluctance and hesitation to try and book stringent charges, especially that of drunken driving against the accused. And we have already established why the charge of drunken driving is so important. It's almost to wait it out so that the alcohol content in his bloodstream comes down. There was also this sort of a red carpet treatment given to it. There was more harassment and pressure given on the victims of the case as to what was the relationship between the two victims. Does this not speak very ill of the local police? Today, the police commissioner may be coming out and giving press conferences saying that he's intent on pursuing this case to its logical end. But it remains from all accounts that the first responders of the local police, that action was very much left lacking.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. By the time the information reaches the senior officers, the damage has been done. In this case, the stringent section of at least 304, that is a culpable homicide, should have been applied right in the beginning. Because the person had come out of the bar, when an offense is registered, some basic inquiry is already done by the police. It is not that the concerned officer jumps into registering an offense without even making the basic inquiry. So some basic inquiry had been done, and it must have been found that this person had come out of the bar. He was driving at a very fast speed. He did not have a driving license. Some basic questions. So I think some of these sections, if at all 304 was not applied, it was a wrong action. They should have applied 304 instead of 304A. 304 makes automatically a bail to be a fait accompli and right of the accused. One. Secondly, as far as the Juvenile Justice Act, etc., are concerned, let's be very clear about one thing. There's a judgment of the Supreme Court of 2020 in which it says that an offense where the minimum punishment is not 7 years and above, it is not a heinous offense. Now, if you go by the Juvenile Justice Act provisions, it seems that since it was a serious case, the court was within its rights to grant bail and to put conditions that the judge has put. But looking at the gravity of the case where two persons have been killed, and by the time the person was produced in the court, the police already had some information, he should have been remanded to 15 days custody in a remand home, which was again within the law. I don't know why the members of the Juvenile Justice Board have not done that. So apparently
there are two issues at play, Mr. Jain.
Police officer. So I'm saying that
yes, indeed.
there was a mistake both at the police station level where the stringent sections in application of laws,
go on.
And the sections of law, and the second was at the level of the Juvenile Justice Board.
Absolutely. So there is a lacuna in the police force in terms of not applying the serious charges to begin with. And there's also a larger judicial question on which I'll get in Parvez Menon as to whether the law itself needs a rethink. And let me explain this better. The very fact that today there is a provision which looks at trying juveniles from the age of 16 to 18 as adults under heinous provisions is an impact which came after the uproar that happened after Nirbhaya. Is it now time to extend it to a more logical point in which we say that if a juvenile is within the bracket of 16 to 18, the cap of just a 7-year offense should not apply? Even deaths due to negligence and other cases, if the juvenile is of sound mind, is mature enough and has every possible resource to make him or her aware of the law, then the kid should be treated as an adult.
Well, definitely, Ritanshu, I completely agree with you. It is now time ripe for the legislation to take cue from these incidents, as has been said by my other co-panelist here, Mr. PK Jain and all others I have heard. We have been seeing such instances from 1999, starting from the BMW Nanda case, where such laws of accidents and hit and run are being abused, be it Salman Khan or be it Alistair Pereira or be it this current case. As we are being seeing that such cases are on the rise, people are drinking, taking life for granted. People walking on the streets are at times compared by celebrities to dogs sleeping on the street, which is shameful. The legislation should rise to the occasion and make it more stringent to mean at least the onus should be reversed on the accused to prove that he was not under influence of alcohol, or he is not in his senses, or he is not capable, he is not matured enough, or whatever. If he is within the bracket of 16 to 18, he should be invariably tried as an adult. The onus should be shifted then on the juvenile to prove why he should be tried otherwise as juvenile, as can be done in several stringent laws in PMLA, in MCOCA. We see that the burden is shifted
Okay.
from the prosecution
Yeah.
to the accused. In such kind of cases, I think these are apt reasons. There are reason enough to rise to the occasion, and the legislation should take cue from this. However, having said so, the current legislation in itself is stringent enough. The law provides that there is a discretion vested with the investigating agency to try such juveniles as adults. Now, what happened in this current case is very shameful. That's what we have been debating since morning, Ritanshu, that the police had failed in their duty
Yes.
right from the time of registering the FIR. The reluctance is obvious. The hush-hush manner in which everything is being swept under the carpet is now all exposed. At some point, they are saying he was not drunk. At some point, they are prosecuting the pub owners for serving liquor to the juveniles. They have the CCTV cameras. The car is not registered from May to June. The system has failed completely.
Yes,
Imagine
indeed.
the plight of the people who have lost
Absolutely.
two young engineers. They had a life to go. They were merely 24 years. Who's going to account for the lives lost? Every human life lost is
The
valuable.
system has failed. The system has failed, Anish and Ashwini, and it seems that the system has also already done its best to help this accused juvenile escape. I'll let PK Jain have the final word at this point. Sir, the simple question today I ask on behalf of all of viewers is, the concern is that as we saw perhaps in the case of the Arushi double murder, the initial botch-ups or the initial negligence by the cops has resulted in the case not being watertight. And no matter how many stringent laws and no matter how many senior officials and investigative agencies you deploy on the case, the lack of basic groundwork will result in loopholes for the juvenile to escape. Do you feel there is a
Absolutely.
legitimate fear of that happening in this case as well, sir?
See, the defense is prone to exploit all the loopholes in the investigation right from the stage of FIR. So this is an unfortunate part of it, and the courts normally go along with it. It's the question of what kind of advocate is present in the court and what kind of face value he has. Unfortunate to say that, but it's a fact that it will all be decided on the basis of face value. Even if the case goes in for conviction at the lower stage, they will go to the higher court and nothing is going to happen. I mean, the situation has become so hopeless these days. Number one, getting justice, and that too for parents who are sitting in Indore or somewhere in Madhya Pradesh. And secondly, when the accused are very influential people, they have the backing of the local polity, it becomes extremely difficult for somebody to get justice. And the courts play along with what the advocates say. The finer points of law will be brought out, and it's a very, very dismal state of affairs. Unfortunately, that's a fact. But at the same time, see, I always hold one basic faith, that the process of prosecution, if it is genuinely and honestly followed, becomes punishment itself. So I hope the Pune police, the police commissioner there is a very fine officer. I'm sure that once he's taken reins of this investigation, justice will be done as far as the police investigation is concerned. Now, what happens subsequently, what kind of technical flaws and the lacunas that the courts may find, to give benefit of doubt, as it has already been done in the case of the Juvenile Justice Board, it is all yet to be seen. But you are right, the system has to hold very strong. Fortunately, the Deputy Chief Minister has come out very strongly, and the machinery, the system has started functioning and moving. And I'm sure that some action and due action will be taken as far as the investigation is concerned.
I appreciate your candor, Mr. Jain. I appreciate your candor, Mr. Jain. And but with all due respect, it doesn't make for very optimistic reading. The fact that the process is a punishment generally for people who don't have legal resources, given this boy's family connections, I'm sure that's not going to be a problem for him. And ultimately, it should not come down to whose lawyer is better. It should come down to basic evidence, in which case, prima facie, there seem to be enough. Thank you so much, Mr. PK Jain, Parvez Memon, and also Sandeep Chachra for joining us with all your with perspectives and views. We really appreciate them.